Hi everyone, Adarsh here. So in this application, in this session, we're gonna see how we can create a Spring AOP based annotation based AOP example, where we have defined a inline point cut inside the advices itself, advices annotation. So let's see the code how it looks like. So this is a regular pom.xml with the group ID, artifact ID, version, packaging as a Java file, name of the application, URL, organizational tag, licensing tag, developers tag, repository tag, and then we have a properties where we have project name, source code, encoding, JDK version, then Spring version, Aspect J version, and then JUnit version. So this is the first dependency, which is for Spring context, then JUnit followed by JUnit dependency, then Spring JUnit test dependency, then Aspect J related dependencies followed by log4j dependency here. Then inside build tag we have jar file name, resources configuration, and inside the plugin we have a standard Maven compiler plugin configuration. So let's see into the code itself. We have a bean class, employee bean class, which is a regular one, employee ID, employee name, employee email, followed by a constructor, default constructor, parameterized constructor, setter and getter method, followed by toString method overridden. We have a service, basically employee service interface, which has all the methods related to the CRUD operations, like save employee, save employees, update employee, delete employee, select employee based on the ID, and select all the employees. And we have a specification, which is employee service IMPL, implement employee service, and it is annotated with the service annotation with the ID employee service. So we have created a local data store by using map collection here here itself. So given an implementation to all the employee service specification methods, and what we are doing, we are just storing a employee ID as a key and employee object as a value for that. So save employee, we have done that thing, and returning true false based on the operations. And then employee service, list of employee we are getting, we are iterating on that and doing the same thing. Then we have a update employee, so we are just based on the employee ID, we are updating the complete employee object. Then we have a delete employee, we are checking whether employee contain data store contain employee ID. If it contains, we are removing, otherwise we are returning null. And then we have a select employee, based on the employee ID we are doing a lookup inside the data store and getting the employee based on the employee ID. If it not found, it's gonna return a null. And in the select employees, what we are just getting the data store dot values, map data store dot values, and we are adding it to the list object and then returning that list object. So this is the basic implementation of code. We have a Spring configuration file here, which contain only context components, scan for com, ESpark, Adarsh, and we have enabled the Aspect auto proxy, and this is a log4j, basic log4j with the console appender and rolling file appender configurations. So we have a test class for this. So inside the test class, we have just mentioned the context configuration for application context.xml run with the JUnit Spring JUnit 4 runner, auto add the employee service here. And then we have a save method test case, which uses employee service.save method, calling a constructor, parameterized constructor, passing a value, and then setting it into that anonymous, and we are asserting the result. So same way we are updating the employee, saving all list of employees, deleting the employees. So what we are doing, just to save deleting the employee, we are populating the data store first, and then we are doing the delete operations and asserting it. For selection of employee, we are just populating the data store first, and then we are selecting, and then we are asserting the list. And then selection of single employee, we are populating the employee with a single value, and then we are selecting the employee based on the ID, and then we are asserting it. So that's the basic flow. So I'm just building the source code by using mv clean install command. So here you can see that it has executed 6 test cases and 0 failure. Okay, So let's check the AOP part of the application here. So in the AOP we have declared a employee service aspect with the aspect annotation and configuration annotation, where we have defined multiple aspects like multiple advices like before advice, around advice, after returning advice, and then after throwing advice. So in this we need to pass a point cut. So what we have done, we have created an inline point cut here, like this is a point cut. So this is a method in the so save method is a point cut indirectly at the runtime. What it does, it create a point cut on this method, and whatever the advice is there, it will bind that advice to this point cut, and this method gonna execute it on that point cut itself, and we gonna get a join point and we can get the data out of that. Then this is a round advice, so this piece of code gonna execute before method execution, and this gonna execute after method execution. Same thing, after method execution we have advice here, then after returning, after method execution, whatever the response we are getting from this method, we are just getting the thing into this variable, and we are getting it as an object form here with the join point. And this is a throw advice, which where this is binded to this joint, basically this point cut, and this point cut, so any exception happens in this method, error object we're gonna get inside this method here. So if we see the log here, in the log itself we can see employee service aspect before execution, employee service save method, we are getting the data. Before executing employee service, we are getting a data. After execution of employee service save method, before executing a employee service save method, exception generated during the employee service save method true. So like that we can see here. So all these things are executed. So by this we can see so these things are executing at the time of test case execution, because in the test case we have a test for the save method. So whenever we are saving we are calling a save method, all these aspects gonna execute, because that save method is having a joint point to this different aspects, and not different aspects, different advices directly. So I'm gonna store this piece of code to my GitHub repository, basically, which is Adarsh Kumar Singh etc/string_AOP. So like my previous XML based application and annotation based application, where I have used the @point cut annotation to specify the point cut, and then point cut method we have binded to the different advices. But in this we have binded advices to the inline point cut, which we have declared inside the before, or in the advices here. So these are the advices and these are the point cut which we have. So all point cuts are same here as of now, for just for the demo. So I'm gonna save this code to the same repository. You can pull it up and you can play around with this. So I guess this will help you to understand the concept. Till then, take care. Bye.